Okay, so very obvious thing occurred to me. Couple of obvious things. One is, it's crazy that these take up this much space. These two things should be side by side. The taking up half the space with the bar graphs effectively that wide. That's a much more sensible size for them. They could get a bit more space even because this could be narrower. So these things need to appear side by side, but then of course by the time it's reduced to half they need to appear one on top of the other. So I have to make a choice. I have to basically make use of the finish resize method. Override. And the thing that annoys me about doing that is I don't really know. It's like an arbitrary sort of number I'm going to decide. If it's wider than a certain amount, then they go side by side. And basically the width, really what that width is based on is how wide these segments end up being. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to go to the trouble of figuring it out that way, but these are the things that change width. So I'm going to do a couple of things first. I'm going to take away the heading. This is not required. It's better that the thing take up the full space. It's pretty obvious these things are associated. I think it will be more obvious as I make them closer, and it will be more obvious again if they're side by side. So the first thing is I'm going to get into this and take away this. I'll take away that bit. And the graph height will now be the face height. So that's the array gadget. But the view gadget is the one that needs to handle a resize. And it needs to reposition these two gadgets. At the moment they just get set up arbitrarily. Now the arrangement of these gadgets internally is okay. I think I don't need to fuss with it. I just need to decide where they appear. And I think that what I will do is I will just immediately call finish resize. And I will make finish resize. I kind of foresaw this. But what I'm really doing here is I'm saying if info panel, if equals null, that would be okay. If info panel face width is greater than what? It's like a bit less than half a normal screen. That's what I'm saying here. No, a bit more than half a normal screen. It's like I really am not sure what the arrangement should be, how I should determine it. It's like it's a number that's going to make the columns too thin. A number that will make the columns too thin. I have to change the size of the bloody info panel as well. This is a bit of a faff, really. Anyway, if info panel face width hang on a sec, what am I thinking? No, it's okay. If info panel face width is greater than, what's the number? Say 700. And if else. And if is a thing. Okay. Here's what I say. Here's what I say. I've forgotten the name of everything. Loaded array gadget and painted array gadget. Loaded array gadget. Arrange. Don't tell me you're not going to be able to tell me what the arrange method is. Arrange x, y, width, height. Arrange 0.0, 0.0, comma. Okay, will I do a sum here? Yeah, I will. I'll figure some things out here. Face width float equals info panel face width, and face height float equals info panel face height. So I don't know if I'm going to bother figuring out more. It's just handy to have. Actually, I wonder if I should think about more, because this width is weird. It's face. It's face width divided by 2.0 minus border divided by 2.0. And it's the height of the thing itself. And its sides in this situation should be low proportional, low high. And painted array gadget arrange face width divided by 2.0 plus border divided by 2.0 0.0 and oh man, how often am I going to end up figuring out face width? Face width. Half face width. I'm going to end up half size float and half border float equals border divided by 2. But here, half size equals face height divided by 2.0. This is half size minus half border. This goes to from half size plus half border, and is the width of half size minus half border, and is height of face height. And again, painted array gadget, align sides, proportional left, locked high on the right, low at the top and high on the bottom. Half size, half border, what's the problem? Oops, half border. Yes, thank you. If it's less than that, then loaded array gadget arrange be 0 0.0, 0.0 and face width, and in this case half size equals face height divided by 2, when in actual fact in the previous example it should be face width divided by 2. Face width, comma, half size minus half border. And loaded array gadget, align sides, left lock low, right locked high, top lock low, bottom locked proportional. Painted array gadget, arrange 0.0 half size plus half border, comma, face width and width, and half size minus half border in height. And painted array gadget, align sides, the top to be proportional, the bottom to be locked high, left to be locked low, and right to be locked high. Excuse me. And there is another issue. Well, first off, the other issue is face height needs figured separately. That is correct, but in this case I need to say, oh man, this is so annoying because it's like I need to say info panel arrange, but I want it to be where it was, so it's like info panel x, comma, info panel y, comma, info panel width. And the height of it though, I want to be like self height times 0.5, say. And I don't think I want to change the info panel's alignment. I think I'll just maybe say that it's low, high, low, high. And then I want to say face height equals info panel face height. But I'll do it there. And in this case, I want to say info panel arrange. Well, I want to say local info height float equals maybe I should just right, okay, here's how I am going to do it. It's not great, I don't think. Info height. I'm just going to make it taller. And yeah, I basically am. Yeah, basically. I can't think of... It doesn't mean it's always going to look perfect, but it's going to make it look as good, I think, as any other sort of more info panel width and self height times, say, 0.98. And maybe this is too much, maybe that could be down to 0.4. I think that's really okay. What's the problem with that? Nothing. Info panel, and I will just again align sides low, high, low, high. Now, that should, in theory, anytime that gadget's resized, including when new views are added, pack those panels up correctly. What's the problem here? Face height not found, right, okay. That's what I meant to do. Okay. Now, there was something else, which was an array gadget. This could be button medium, I think. Right, let's just fire in. I've done a bunch of stuff there, which is probably not too bonny. So if this is going right, I'm expecting the bar graphs to be displayed without headings, side by side, in a smaller window, and they should rearrange themselves to be one on top of the other when they... Okay, well, let's see. First off, that's 2 now. It needs more space. Secondly, that ain't right. Those 2 things are being placed one on top of the other. How have they been placed directly one on top of the other? That's more like it. Oops. Okay. Aye, right, okay, and upon resizing it does something insane. Okay, well, let's see. First off, this, I don't know, multiply it by 1.3 or something. Secondly, what on earth is the other thing I'm looking at? It's this thing. Finish resize. Right, okay, well that's going to cause a problem. Let's see what this does first of all. That variable needed set and I wasn't setting it. Hang on. I should be setting both of these inside. Just because I think I should be equals info panel face width. Okay. Let's just see what happens. I probably didn't be resetting face width, I suppose. Never mind. I'm just getting confused. This, I'm going to take away the word created. It's going to be implied that this date is the time it was created. I'm going to update the created here. I'm going to make sure that the goddamn paint time that's very strange. I'm going to make sure it's done correctly, the paint time, that's one thing. But also I should be able to close this, take this down, and see where my cutoff is. There. Yeah. I suppose it's kind of, it's pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable. Maybe I should make it a bit bigger. So take away the word created. Make sure that the created is, the date is updated when it's painted. And make sure that the thing is set correctly. What do I do here? The cursor classes. Paint thing. And also I want to say AR creation time equals time now to string. Tell me that's really a problem. Okay, so there's another little problem, which is, okay, a couple of other little problems. One is, when the view gadget, when load array, I do want to be able to I can just say if p equals dit return. And I'll do something similar in load pung. If p equals dit return. That gets rid of that little error message when a new thing opens up. But the other thing is that when when like an array is loaded, the view position has to be set to the loaded position. So array equals null, state equals array state, path equals p, panel shown equals false. This stuff happens. Discard the array, discard the pics, make a new array and pixels, do this, ARR update details with graph detail level. And I think also I want to say ARR position. No, I want to say view position. View position equals ARR position. Just a tiny thing, but I'm sure that's required. Now, there going to be some other little things that I think of here when I look at it, because now I'm beginning to think I'm tying up these loose ends. Not sure there are other things that I'm missing. I need to test the gradient colors selected for the bars in the higher ends. But kind of to do that, I think I'm going to have to do a big render. So when I open the render viewer here and show the info, I should see, oh god damn, I forgot to take away the word created. Animation position, no. Oh, okay, I need more space. That's annoying. I'm going to take away the word animation there, and I'm going to take away the word created. And that happens in array gadget, show array. Suppose no, I'm just going to take it away altogether. And I'm going to take away this word. And I'm going to run again. Because actually I think I need to make that font a bit bigger. It's too tiny. I could go through more, I could go to greater lengths to resize these things, but I don't think I'm going to bother. To pick a very specific size that would always show everything. Scale values drawn without truncation. Color position 0.066, and I think that's right. I've got 0.66 there, 0.066 there. And this is showing the right time because it was made just this moment. And now hopefully still I can just do something like that, and yet see the distribution change. Not in a very healthy way, but there's no surprise in this render. I mean, it's virtually all background. Perhaps another nice option would be to eliminate the lowest so that you really get an impression of what's actually drawn, but then it would have to be eliminate 0, not just the lowest. But eliminating 0 might be a good plan. Not just the lowest bucket, that would get rid of too much. And yeah, this font, I think I have to face the fact it's just too small. I have to give over a bit more area to this text. I can take out the spaces at the start, it doesn't really need them, I suppose. Yeah, okay, I'll do that. I'll take out the spaces, I'll increase the size of the font, I'll make a bit more space for it. So, line height is line height times 0.7. I'll boost it up to 0.9, and I'll put this up to 1.5, and that's all I need to do. Everything else should reposition itself okay. Oh no, there was another thing I was going to do, which is down here. I was going to set PF to the prefix on those lines. Okay, basically at 30 minutes again, and I don't know if I'd call it super productive, but that is, I think, the array display more or less decided. Displaying enough information. I think it's displaying all the information I need it to. That's a lot easier to read. I'll take this, I'll make sure to truncate that scale value. And I really have to do something to convert seconds into minutes. Okay, let me see. Yeah, truncate the scale value. Width, height, low high thresholds, high point, height, average height. Yeah, once the average height drops below 1, that's when that's when things start to break up bad. I think 1.5, the basic pattern of the distribution is still the same. At 1.5, below 1, that pattern takes on a different shape, and then you know things have gone bad. But that's not something I'm too fussed about. It's something I can already compensate for with different gradients and different doodads, and it's something I think I'll soon be able to compensate more for. So, scale value truncated here. And I'll just do a standard. I truncate it to 1 decimal place when it's really tight. And I think there's a problem with my truncation thing as well. I think I need to get out of town. That's going slow. I'm sure of it. No, okay, maybe I'm wrong. No, I'm not wrong. It's just going slow. So let me think one last time, or one more time. Have another little close look at it and see. I mean, it's not ideal. There are things about it I think it could look better. Yeah, I add a little tiny extra border between threshold and high point. I don't know if it's worth it. Yeah, it's really not worth it. It just actually looks like they're unevenly spaced. I wonder if I should be displaying the thresholds scaled. I possibly should. But okay, I'm going to remove the border, the single line of border. I don't think it doesn't help, unless it's like the thing that might help more is, I don't think it would help at all really. I suppose there's the time and size. Then I'll say plus bore times 3.0, and then after threshold I'll say plus bore times 3.0. I mean, it's going the opposite way of taking the borders away. It's just actually I'm wanting to accentuate a couple of little extra borders to see, just to see if it makes it easier to read that little mass of I got put these things in the right, yeah, easier to read the little mass of text that's there. Oh, I suppose I kind of do think it does. Okay. No error message, that is also sorted. This looks okay. I realize that even if I have 2 windows open in a high-res screen, I might have to end up tweaking that number. If I have 2 side by side in a high-res screen, they will still be displaying little narrow bar graphs, but all of this stuff is a lot smaller in a high-res screen. I do have to remember that. I think I'm going to increase the size of these titles a little bit. Put an extra border just underneath them. It's such tiny little things, but the title, well, how do I do it? I'm going to boost the size of line height and decrease the size of small line height. And I'm going to say this is plus border times 3.0 as well. And I'm going to give that one more go. This is just fiddling now, really just fiddling. I may have increased that too much and I'll end up pushing these titles off the side of their own gadget, clipping the end of the label. We will see. It's not really that different. In fact, everything looks the same now. Okay, what have I done wrong there? I can do line height. So it actually draws it at line height. Let me have another look at it and try and pay attention. Everything else is at small line height, small line height. That is to say, the gadget is small line height, height, and the font is small line height, height. Well, yeah. Don't know about that really. Now it looks goofily large. But maybe I'll just leave it like that. That makes this almost impossible. That's pretty funny. I mean, that's the problem with these. And it's going to be a problem with them actually. I may have to just make them more opaque, because it'll be a problem with them against many different types of backdrop. It's funny. I'm not going to bother doing very much about it. I'll go and tweak the appearance of these to make them a little more opaque, and hopefully that'll be enough. In fact, I'll maybe just do that just now. Last thing I'll do. In GUI classes, generate transparent skin. It's at 0.5. If I make it maybe a little bit darker, maybe 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, and 0.7. Let's just see how much of a difference that makes. I shouldn't get too bogged down in this because it's addictive. Plootering with the little details of how the GUI looks, but it's not that productive. Yeah, a little darker, a little more opaque. Those are slightly easier to read. Well, no, they are a bit easier to read, and these will be easier to see. Yeah, they get pretty neat, alright. Wow. And it will be possible to just squash them up to the point where you can't see the information. But I should lock the bottom of that. There's several things wrong here. This doesn't extend far enough. And the bottom of it, let me have a quick look. finish resize. I wonder if I'm creating a problem for myself with this. And I'm locking the bottom of the info panel there. Oh yeah, but every time it changes size, yeah, it will end up doing that. I need to do self height minus something, and that is what I better do. And it's like self height minus line height times 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Make it 6. Well, that won't totally make everything great, but it'll sort of solve that problem. But also it doesn't entirely solve the problem of the panel's width, which is it appears that it goes too narrow. And I don't think that's in me setting it up here incorrectly. Info panel, face width minus border times 2, yeah. Cx equals border, face width minus border times 2. I think I'm causing problems for myself by arranging the size of that panel every frame. I think it looks fine when it's first created. Oh, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, when it's first created it is lined up, and then immediately after that it's no longer lined up. So yeah, and sometimes actually, no, it's just like, yeah, it's now a pixel too narrow. That's extremely annoying. It means, it sort of suggests there's something wrong with my arrange, but arrange is being used by everything. I mean, I can kludge that. But it's not ideal, is it? Really, really isn't. Wonder if I can just set the height. No, I've got to use this arrange thing, I'm sure of it. I could just set the size, but then I'm still having to set the width. Grr. Ah, look, now it appears like too big. And it's always too big. Okay, forget it. I will put up with it being a goofy size. I don't care. I will just have to... Like, why is that? I wonder if I just like do something like the integer panel width plus 0.5. Like, I don't like having to do this, but I'll bet that this kind of... And now I've really gone on too long, just beating the details of this tiny thing. But I'm getting close to the end of this video. I really am going to stop and let's just have a little look. That's it in the right place. Well, that is it in the right. Well, it's lined up at least, seems, with the things on the left. On the right, sorry, so that'll do for now. And the bottom stays locked to the bottom, so you always get space to grab. when things are like that if you need to grab it like that, but probably you're going to end up hiding the info. But everything is shown. Nothing under ordinary circumstances is clipped, and even under more compact circumstances isn't bad. It is fine, and even under super compact circumstances isn't really bad. I'm starting to clip the edge of that percentage mark in the 99s, and that triple figures, but it's not too bad. Still basically understandable. So, my frame rate's suffering, and I wonder what I'm doing. Like what on earth? Why did that happen? I don't believe that this little thing is causing it that much problem. And I shouldn't fuss about it. I should just well, for one thing, there's plenty I can do to speed that up, but also it's FFmpeg. I should never underestimate what it's doing. So for now, I call that working, and I have to think about well, there's the scaling. There's the different types of scaling. I need to getting rid of the linear scaling and adding maybe a couple of other types. I don't know if logarithmic scaling is something that might make more sense. That's one. Also, if I can do some sort of map hash table scaling to get totally even redistribution, that's another. And there may be other things where I just where I just do more of a little sum, basically. I don't know. I'm going to have a think about it. Besides height maps, which are much more of a thing I may just not do, these scaling methods will be the last thing. So I'll think about the scaling methods next time.